What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Football Corner podcast. And this is the final week of the regular season. Week 18 has come and gone. I'm so glad y'all guys have tuned in this long throughout the season. It's been exciting, a bunch of up and downs in the NFL season, whether it's big plays or the trades that happen within the season or prior going into the 2022 NFL season that have made this season exciting and one of the greatest football seasons ever. But of course, before we get started talking, recapping Week 18 and predicting the playoffs, etc., I would like for all my viewers out there on YouTube to hit that subscribe button, click that notification bell so you could be notified when new videos are dropped. Also, if you're listening to me on a podcast like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or even Spotify, go subscribe to the podcast. And you already know what time it is. Let's cue it up. Let's jump right into the first topic of today's podcast. And I'm going to talk about the two most impactful coaches that have made this 2022 NFL season exciting and turned two franchises around. The first franchise I'm going to talk about is my hometown team, the Jacksonville Jaguars. We acquired Doug Peterson in the offseason after having a horrible coach in Urban Meyer. Arguably, he could have been the worst coach in NFL history. You know, people could debate whether it's Nathaniel Hackett being fired earlier in Urban Meyer, but Urban Meyer was kicking people in practice. His coaching methods did not translate in the NFL. He might have been a great college coach, and he could be a Hall of Fame college coach. But what he did in the 2021 NFL season, we averaged under 15 points a game, which was dead last on offense, and we gave up 26.9 points a game on defense, which was bottom of the league also. Doug Peterson comes in 1 year, we are AFC South champions, and I must say Duval, because of course I got to get that out there. Well, we're AFC South champions. We're 9-8. Previous year we were 3-14, so that's a six game swing between two coaches. We're averaging 23 points a game and only giving up 20 points a game, which is top 15 in both categories. Doug Peterson coaches butt off. Trevor Lawrence looks like a totally different quarterback. And let's go ahead and say this about the Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence's rookie season. Can we put like an asterisk next to that? Because that season was so horrible and so much dysfunction was happening with the Jaguars that season. It shouldn't even count. It should be erase that. And I'm considering this second year, Trevor Lawrence's rookie season. And his rookie season, he threw for over 4,000 yards, 66% completion percentage, 25 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions, a 95 passer rating, over a 50-plus QBR. Trevor Lawrence is looking like the number one overall pick in 2021. Also, he's already a top 10 quarterback. Now we could go to the Giants. Well, the Giants had Joe Judge as the head coach. He was there for a few years, but Joe Judge, in my opinion, I think he was a special teams guy coming out of the Patriots organization. He did not turn his Giants football team around. Of course, he was handed Daniel Jones, like that wasn't his pick, and he was also handed a few other pieces that was out of his control. But when doing that, they were. You talk about the Jaguars was a bad team. The only team that was a little bit better was like 31st in both categories. Were the Giants? The Giants in 2021 averaged 15 points a game, were giving up over 25. This team was atrocious. Brian Daboll was the offensive coordinator for Buffalo Bills, comes to New York and gets the best out of Daniel Jones. You talk about a team that won also had a 5+ swing in just 1 year and Brian Daboll's coaching tenure with the Giants. They went from 4-13 to 9-7-1 in their playoff team. Of course, they're not going to be hosting a playoff game, but they're the number 6 seed, which any Giants fan would take that all day. You got the best out of Saquon Barkley. You got the best out of Daniel Jones. And this offense is not the best, not the highest scoring offense, scoring 21 points a game. And their defense is not the best. They give it up 21 points a game. So they're kind of like even on both sides. But Brian Daboll, they managed to stay in close games, and they were capitalizing off of games that were decided by one score. They beat the Titans in one score game. They beat the Jaguars in one score game. This team was fighting to the end, and it all counted when they had to play the Commanders, essentially in a 3 week span. And them being the Commanders in Week 17 was very crucial for their dominance and their ability to clinch a playoff berth. So kudos to Brian Daboll and Doug Peterson. Those two coaches should be at the front runner for being coach of the year candidates. What they have done to two organizations who have been starved for another playoff run. Talk about the Giants' last playoff appearance was in 2016 before this year. The Jaguars were 2017. Both teams want to start anew. Who knows if Daniel Jones comes back next year? I heard there's reports that Daniel Jones could be looking. Giants are looking to extend the quarterback. It was up to me. I'll give him a 2-3 year deal, something I could dump out of, because he did have a good season. He did play well. He did lead the Giants to the playoffs. So you do want to reward him for that. But I want to risk the whole franchise by giving him a long contract and pay him all this money, because I don't think Daniel Jones is the future for the Giants. The AFC playoff picture is already set with the Chiefs taking the number 1 seed, so they will have that first round bye, and the playoffs will have to come through Arrowhead. And I'll explain a little later how, if the AFC Championship is between the Buffalo Bills and the Chiefs, that'll be a neutral site game due to some things that happen on Monday Night Football in Week 17. But let's get started with the matchups that will be playing on Wild Card Weekend. We have the Buffalo Bills versus the Dolphins, the Bengals versus the Ravens, and the Chargers versus the Jaguars. Now, two of these matchups are interdivisional matchups, so you could tell that those 2 game matchups will be very interesting, especially since both matchups that are interdivisional are 1-1. The Bengals and the Ravens are 1-1 head to head. Of course, the last matchup in Week 18 that didn't feature Lamar Jackson, and I don't plan Lamar Jackson playing in this playoff game. Lamar Jackson has went down a knee injury against the Browns and has not returned to football. I think Lamar Jackson is sitting this one out due to contract issues, and they'll be playing Tyler Huntley, because in the Week 18 Bengals matchup, they started their third-string quarterback Anthony Brown, which goes to show you that they were not trying to risk Tyler Huntley getting injured in a game that was meaningless. They already were set to be the number 6 seed. There was nothing they could do to change that, and they were prepared to play. They were preparing for the wild card matchup against the Bengals. Now we could go to the Buffalo Bills and Dolphins side. Is Tua coming back for the playoff game? Tua has had 2 to 3 concussions this season. They started Skylar Thompson in the Week 18 matchup against the Jets. They won in a close ball game, 11-6, but they did clinch a playoff berth. I think the 2 interdivisional matchups should be very one-sided. I understand in the division anything can happen. Most teams they know their opponent very well, but Josh Allen shouldn't lose to Skylar Thompson if that's who they're playing at Wild Card Weekend, and Joe Burrow should not lose to Tyler Huntley. So the best matchup in the Wild Card Weekend for the AFC side of things has to be Jaguars versus Chargers. Now, in my previous podcast episodes earlier this season, I actually flew to LA, went to see the Jaguars play the Chargers. It was not a close ball game. We put up 30 points. It was like we put up like 37-10 was the score in that game. I understand the Chargers had a lot of injuries, and Justin Herbert was just coming off of that game, which he injured his ribs. So they're fully healthy now, but they got to come to the bank. Okay. So all you Chargers fans out there, they're saying, "Oh, we're going to get them this time." I'll let you see you try. We blew you out when you went in your house. Now you got to come to our house to Jacksonville, which is a long flight, and you're on a shorter week than we are. We have 1 extra day to prepare, plus you have to travel. I would like to see this matchup. I think this is going to be the best matchup for the AFC side of things in Wild Card Weekend, just because both teams can score at will. They both have weapons. Chargers have Justin Herbert at quarterback, top 10 quarterback. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler. That's their 4. And then you got the Jaguars, who have Trevor Lawrence, top 10 quarterback, Travis Etienne, 1,100-yard rusher, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram. All guys who had career highs when we picked him up for free agency. And the defense is really playing opportunistic football on the Jaguar side. We're top 10 scoring defense, give up a little under 21 points a game, which is pretty good. Our defense makes plays. I want to say we're the best defense. I think we're 15. We're middle-ish in the pack in terms of yards given up, but we know how to stop the run, and we have arguably two of the best corners in the NFL, and Darius Williams and Tyson Campbell. But on the other side, in the Chargers, you can't dismiss Khalil Mack or Joey Bosa will be playing that game. Those two guys can't get after the quarterback. Jaguars have a pretty decent offensive line, have really been cleaning Trevor Lawrence clean all season, but they will have their handful in that wildcard matchup between the Jaguars and the Chargers. Since I just talked about the AFC playoff picture, let's go to the NFC side of things. Now, as of now, of me recording this podcast, the following teams are actually in the playoff picture. It goes Eagles are going to have the number 1 seed and on the bye, so we'll talk about them during divisional round weekend. The next team will become the 49ers, Vikings, Buccaneers, Cowboys, Giants, Seattle, or Green Bay. Both those teams, as of now, or in a tie, we'll see. I would post on social media. You could go to the social media page and my social media pages, and we could discuss who actually will get that 7th seed. But I would discuss both teams, if which team will have a better shot against the 49ers. But the matchups in the NFC side of things are very interesting. So let's go ahead and start with Seahawks versus 49ers, if that is a playoff game on wildcard weekend. The Seahawks are just not better than the 49ers. Can I say that? Geno Smith did not look good in a game against the Rams. And I know a lot of people who say it was an interdivisional matchup. It's always difficult. I love the way what Geno Smith did this season. He broke the passing yardage record for the Seahawks, the most passing yards in a single season in Week 18. He has 30 touchdowns to 11 to 12 interceptions. He's a Pro Bowl quarterback, and he played very well. But due to lack of experience in the playoffs and the Niners just being all around better, I don't think the Seattle Seahawks and Niner matchup will be as close as people think. Now we could transition to if the Packers in that 7th seed, the Packers have no chance. Maybe I'll be wrong, but according to Aaron Rodgers' resume, and this team doesn't have nearly as much talent as the previous teams that play the 49ers in the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers just can't beat the 49ers. He's tried with multiple teams, even a team in the Niners of 2 years last year, the Niners team that I wouldn't even say was stacked. It was good, but I wouldn't say they were stacked as the team that went to the Super Bowl that beat them. And they still came to Lambeau and beat his you-know-what. Aaron Rodgers, it's a good story. It's a good feeling, but anything can happen when you get into the postseason. But I truly believe that the Niners will take care of business in the wild card round and be looking forward to their next matchup in the divisional round. The next matchup would be Vikings and Giants. I think this matchup is very interesting since the last time they played was in the regular season, and this game was closer than some people thought. The Vikings, I don't even know if I trust that team right now. They're the one team that has 13 to 14 wins, and I still don't know if they're a good team or not. I mean, every game they have lost, it was in a blowout fashion. They lost against the Cowboys. They lost against the Packers in a horrible fashion, which are two teams that are one team is a playoff team, the other team is potential, and they got blown out by the Eagles. So both those, those 3 teams that they, lost to was in horrible fashion. Now they did have some great wins. They beat the Buffalo Bills and they beat the Giants. So the 2 teams that are in the playoffs right now, currently in the playoffs right now, they did beat. But I don't know if I actually believe in the Vikings in the postseason. Now, they should be able to handle business against the Giants, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants actually upsetted them. I don't think anybody would be surprised. I don't even know what the line is right now on that game, but I'm pretty sure the Vikings are not a touchdown favorite in that matchup. Now, the final matchup of the postseason for the NFC side of things will be Buccaneers versus Cowboys. Now, the way the Cowboys have been playing lately, They've been scoring a lot of points, but if you look at their Week 18 game against the Commanders, it was even close. Dak Prescott looked horrible. It was probably the worst performance by Dak Prescott and this team since Week 1 when they had to play the Buccaneers. So that's not good because guess we have to play in Tampa Bay, and you're versing a guy who has done this multiple times, more times than people can count of his experience in the postseason. Now, I don't think the Buccaneers are a good team, but this team is good enough to beat the Cowboys. The Cowboys, they just do Cowboy things. They're going to let Tampa Bay hang in the game longer than they have to. And I think the biggest thing that needs to happen is the Cowboys defense needs to step up. If you want to go on the road to Tampa, to Tom Brady, and beat him in the playoff game, your defense has to step up. Michael Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, Armstrong, you have to get after the quarterback. I need Tom Brady sacked at least 5 times. Make him frustrated. Rattle him. Okay? That's what I need to happen. Because if you don't, Tom Brady was just dink and dunk. Because you already know Tom Brady's probably going to throw the ball. He have 30 to 40 pass attempts. So you know that's going to happen. You want your offense to have short field position, try to get them sacks, make them punt from inside the 20 so you could get good field positions because you have a Pro Bowl kick returner, a punt returner, special teamer, right? So if you want to beat Buccaneers at home, and I would like to see the line, maybe the Cowboys are favored by like 2.5. Probably if I was a better, I'll probably make it 2.5, 3.5. Wouldn't be a touchdown, but it'd probably be roughly a field goal game. I would do that. But Tom Brady has done this a lot, and he is ready to play the Cowboys because he knows how the Cowboys are in the postseason. Before I end this podcast episode, I would like to talk about what happened on Monday Night Football and when Damar Hamlin, collapsed, went into cardiac arrest. And it was probably the scariest thing I'd ever seen. I was watching this game, and when it happened, I didn't even see the initial hit or the initial replay until they came back from commercial break. And then you see him collapse. And then they took like 5 different commercial breaks. And it was scary. But I'm saying this because I'm glad that Damar Hamlin is making a speedy recovery. He was able to watch the game in Week 18, able to FaceTime, go on social media. His foundation has reached over 7 million donations. It's an amazing story. But I just want to say, Damar Hamlin, the whole country was praying for you. We was looking out for you. We're glad that you're able to breathe on your own. You're able to speak to your parents, speak to your friends, speak to the whole football community. It's a great story, and I wish you the best of luck. Thanks for watching and listening to the Football Corner Podcast. Podcast episodes will be dropped on Mondays and Fridays, as well as YouTube videos on Mondays and Fridays. You could click the link in my description to follow the social media links to my podcast social media pages. And also, you'll be able to stay up to date on new drops, new takes, and all that good stuff. Thanks for watching. See you next time.